Am I the jerk for making my neighbors think I'm in a cult? Hi, throwaway account because I do not want my friends to find this. I am a 24-year-old male and a huge fan of board games, particularly Dungeons & Dragons. I host weekly D&D sessions at my apartment with a group of friends, and it has been our tradition for the last 5 years. We get into it. We dress up, light candles, chant dramatic incantations, and play some ambient music. I know it is more than what the regular player does, but we like it and find it funny. Recently, my neighbors, an older couple in their 60s, moved in next door. They are nice enough, but pretty old school. Anyway, they have been giving me these weird looks lately and avoiding me in the hallway, which I thought was odd. But I figured maybe they just were not into socializing. Well, last Saturday, during one of our sessions, we got really into it. My friend Dave, a 23-year-old male, was doing an epic monologue as the evil sorcerer we were about to defeat. I may have been waving around a fake sword while wearing a hooded cloak, as I was cosplaying my rogue character. We were deep in the moment when I heard a knock on the door. I opened it, still in costume, and was greeted by my very concerned-looking neighbors. Before I could say anything, the wife blurted out, "We have seen the people coming and going, the chanting, the cloaks, the swords. We just want to make sure everything is okay." I was caught off guard, and without thinking, I blurted out, "Oh, we are just summoning demons. Nothing to worry about." Then I laughed because obviously I was joking. They did not laugh. In fact, they looked even more horrified. They just mumbled something about being good Christians and backed away slowly. Fast forward to the next morning and I find a pamphlet slipped under my door for a cult deprogramming service. They even included a handwritten note offering to introduce me to their pastor, to save my soul. Now, my friends think this is hilarious and keep suggesting we lean into it. They suggest we start wearing robes to take out the trash or chant in the hallways. I am honestly tempted to mess with them a bit, but I am also kind of worried I have legitimately freaked them out. Am I the expletive for accidentally making my neighbors think I am a cult leader? And should I clear things up or just let them believe it? This situation is hilarious and uncannily timely, but it's always a good idea to keep things friendly with your neighbors if you can. It's an opportunity to be a decent bloke to an elderly couple who might be a bit concerned. Maybe have a word with them, thank them for their concern, and reassure them that it's just a game, not a cult. That way, no one feels disturbed, and you get some karma points too. Am I the jerk? Got my childhood friend removed from the friend group for attempting to out me. I had a childhood friend, D, who became close with a woman named S a couple of years ago. S was the mother of D's friend's child. And after that friend ended up in jail, D started spending a lot of time with S. He tried to bring her into our friend group, but from the start, I did not like her. I was very clear with D, telling him directly that I did not like her and that I was not comfortable with her being around. While I supported him helping her as a single mother, I felt he was crossing boundaries. Later on, I explicitly told D that I did not want us in my Discord server. D asked if it would be okay for her brother's account to join. I agreed, as long as it was only her brother using the account. However, a couple of days ago, I found out that S was using her brother's account to access the Discord, which went against what I had agreed to. So I banned the account. D got really mad, calling my Discord server childish, insulting me, and trying to turn our friend group against me. I offered to chat and resolve things, but D doubled down on his insults and refused to talk things out. I ended up banning him from the Discord as well. After this, the rest of the group set up a chat between S and me to clear the air, with some neutral parties present. The conversation went well. Both S's account and her brother's were welcomed back into the server, but D continued to act out, and I realized that he was not the friend I thought he was. Now, even if he ever wants to come back, I am planning to keep him from participating in any real-life activities because I just do not trust him anymore. Am I the antagonist for banning D and for deciding not to let him back into my life, even if he tries to make amends? I know I was not right 100%, but in the shades of gray, I feel like I did better than D here. You are not the cause of this issue. Boundaries are important, and it sounds like D crossed them repeatedly. If someone isn't respecting those boundaries, it's okay to take steps to protect your peace. It's unfortunate that D reacted that way, but you did what was necessary for your own well-being and the harmony of your friend group. Am I the jerk for not planning a retirement party? Last December, a coworker and friend named Julie retired. We worked on the same team for years and were close. Julie was also very generous with my family. I still consider her a friend. About 6 weeks before Julie's retirement, my boss asked me to plan an in-office retirement party for her. This involved organizing food, collecting money and buying a gift, getting a cake, and making sure the heads of the company were there. Neither he nor his boss wanted to deal with it, and they assigned it to me under the guise of me being her good friend. I did it for Julie, not to help out my bosses. I wanted to be sure she had a great retirement party that made her happy. I asked a coworker for some assistance on decorations and handled the rest myself. It was time-consuming, and I had to devote a good amount of time to it outside my working hours. I'm just a part-time employee and paid accordingly. I am not a natural party planner and do not particularly enjoy hosting, but I did this happily for Julie. We had the party, it went perfectly, and Julie was thrilled. Fast forward to now. We have 2 other people in my location who will be retiring at the end of next month. I know them and have worked with them in the past, but I am not close to them. Last week, my boss Chris called me in and said, "Hey Vivian, you did such a great job planning Julie's retirement party. Jim and I want you to handle George and Robert's retirement party." I looked at Chris with a puzzled face and said, "Why? I'm not close with them and I am not on their team. I think it would be more appropriate and make more sense to have someone on their team or one of the admins handle it," Chris continued. "Well, you did such a great job with Julie's party that you set the bar high. I am sure George and Robert would be thrilled to have a party like that." "Chris," I said, "Julie was and is my friend. I put all that time and effort into that party for her because she has been so kind to me and my family over the years. I put in a lot of time outside my working hours for that party. I am not close with George or Robert and, speaking frankly, have zero interest in planning a party for either of them. Human resources or their team manager can figure it out. I will have to decline." Chris got a bit huffy and said, "Well, I guess I cannot force you to do it, but Jim will be disappointed as it reflects poorly on our team." I said, "Well, it also reflects poorly on our team." I said, "Well, it also reflects poorly on George and Robert's teams that they are not taking the lead in handling their own employees' retirement parties," and walked out of Chris' office. It has not been discussed since, so I am assuming some other arrangement was put in place. Am I the bad person for not planning the party? You did nothing to deserve criticism. Women are historically tasked with unpaid labor like this and often suck it up to keep the peace. If they bring it up again, suggest that you started a side hustle as an event organizer because Julie's party went so well, and that you're happy to discuss hourly rates. Organizing events was never part of the job, so it's completely fair to set those boundaries. Good for standing your ground and resisting the guilt trip. Am I the jerk for missing my bestie's baby shower because I didn't know when it would be? Am I the asshole? Let me start by saying I feel like the asshole, but everyone around me is telling me it's not my fault. Let me give a brief backstory. She and I, let's call her Sarah, are friends from college. We became friends as roommates in an apartment-style dorm and became inseparable. We decided to move in together again the next year, but off campus in an apartment with a friend of mine. This went horrible. We shared a bathroom and were at each other's throats constantly. She decided to move out after we got in a huge screaming fight, and we didn't speak for a year. Somehow she came to me, apologized, I apologized, and we decided to become friends again. Fast forward, we casually hang out once every 2 to 3 months for an hour or two. I wouldn't call us super close, but we do still use the best friend title. When I do see her, she's not the friend you can just say literally anything to, but she is the friend that you just laugh and laugh with. I treasure her and love her to death. We've been friends again for many years now, and she's pregnant, on purpose. We don't hang out much, but she's been trying to plan her baby shower. I offered to throw it as her best friend, but her sister stepped in. She's due in November, but told me in August that the baby shower would happen. We hung out 2 months ago, and I asked her and she said sometime in September. In early August, I was asked if I wanted to go on a birthday trip over a long weekend in September. I have not been able to afford to go on trips in 3 years, so I was excited. I agreed to go on the trip and paid my part. Fast forward to now, Sarah texts me and tells me she's decided on a date. As you can guess, it's during my trip. Since I had already asked for the date 4 times, my brain just forgot the baby shower wasn't planned yet. I have bought many gifts and even handmade a few for her and was planning on doing everything I can to make it up to her. But she won't even hear me out. I understand how hurt she is. I feel like the worst friend alive, but everyone keeps telling me it's not my fault and that I couldn't have blocked all of September out for her until she decided on a date. I've apologized repeatedly and told her she's valid and I understand. I'll do anything. The last thing she said before she started ignoring me is, "I see this shows where you stand. I thought you knew how much I cared about our friendship. I hope you enjoy your vacation. I don't want you to harbor on something when the damage is already done. I just feel like an asshole. I know I couldn't have known which day it was, especially since I did ask 4 times, and I obviously didn't intentionally plan my trip during her shower, but it just sucks. She accidentally planned a trip for my last 2 birthdays, but I know this is different. I just feel like I suck now. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. Your friend could have actually checked with you first before she finalized her date if your presence was so important. It's unreasonable for her to expect you to put your entire life on hold, waiting for the day to be revealed. Instead of accepting responsibility for not letting you know in time, she's calling you a bad friend and questioning your loyalty. Honestly, it's worth questioning if she would cancel her own vacation plans if the roles were reversed. Am I the jerk for falling asleep during a theater performance? I am a 21-year-old female drama and film student at a respected college in my country. My fellow student and boyfriend, who is also 21 years old, and I were invited as VIP guests to the finals of a major high school competition. The competition was for short films and recorded stage performances, but there was also a full play being performed. I have recently been struggling with a health issue, which has affected my sleep. Additionally, we have been under a lot of pressure and strain from college, a constant since the beginning. The finals started at 4:30 p.m. and we arrived at 4:15 p.m. My boyfriend, who was also a drama and film student, was a facilitator for one of the short films that played in the first half of the competition. I managed to get through the first half of the competition and got something to eat during the break to help with the fatigue. Unfortunately, during the second half, I was really struggling and eventually fell asleep. When the second break came around, my boyfriend asked if I wanted to go home to rest. I told him that I wanted to see where they placed, but he told me they probably would not win, so it was okay if I went. We came with his car, so he gave me his keys and walked me to the car, where we said goodbye, and I left. When I got to the flat, the power was off, so I just changed my clothes and went to bed. Later, I received a message from him saying that our friends were staying for drinks and food, and since they were his ride, he would be in late. He got home just past 10 p.m. and we sat in the car to charge our phones and learn lines for a class the following day. After learning lines for about an hour, he asked to talk about something with me. He said that it was extremely disrespectful of me to fall asleep in the theater and that he was very concerned that the head of our college would see and that he would get into trouble for it. The head of the college was a judge at the competition. He continued by saying that it was highly unprofessional and that if it were a situation where I was representing his company, he would be very embarrassed. I work for him in a small startup company along with a few friends. At first I said okay, and he continued to explain himself. Eventually I told him that I was hurt that his first concern was how it looked, rather than my well-being. It also felt unexpected, and I wondered if someone from college had said something. We then got into a really big fight, which resulted in me going to bed crying at 1 a.m. and him sleeping on the couch. This morning we had a class at 8 a.m., and we were barely talking to each other. As the day went on and we had to work together, the mood seemed to lighten. We are discussing it further tonight to resolve it. I can understand how it would look bad, especially in our field of work, but at the same time, I would hope he had some sympathy for what I am dealing with. Falling asleep during a major event like the finals of a big high school competition is really disrespectful. It would be one thing if you were just a regular audience member, but being a VIP guest makes it worse. You could have just declined the invitation or made sure to go to bed early enough the day prior. In my opinion, you did some things wrong massively. Am I the jerk for refusing to apologize to my sister for making her cry? I, 15-year-old male, have a younger sister Katie, 12-year-old female, and Katie is what my parents call sensitive. This means Katie cannot take constructive criticism and cannot be corrected. If she does something wrong, I am supposed to tell my parents and let them handle it. They also complain to her teachers in school if any of them upset Katie. Even our extended family cannot say anything directly to Katie. Everything has to go through my parents, and nobody can even remind Katie to be careful because it will upset her. As a result, we do not see our family too much because nobody wants to deal with the issues. Katie has hardly any friends. None of them will hang out with her outside of school because my parents would get on their case about being gentle with Katie. Katie is a walking disaster and she knows it. She is not careful. Maybe she has ADHD or dyspraxia, but she was never diagnosed. My parents just coddle her. She frequently breaks stuff. She also comes into my room without knocking, which is meant to be a rule. She interrupts me if I am doing something. She even took food off my plate before while I was eating. All that stuff has to go through my parents so they can handle it. I cannot say anything. My parents have almost grounded me before because I told Katie to watch where she was going when she almost bumped into me. Mom screamed at her parents for telling Katie not to touch my grandma's expensive vase. Last Saturday night, my parents told me to babysit Katie because they were going to spend the night at a hotel to celebrate their anniversary. They left around 7 p.m. and came home around 11 a.m. the next morning. That night, Katie went into my room while I was gaming. She was meant to be in bed, and she broke one of my game discs. It is an older game and was a birthday gift from our grandparents. I just went to the bathroom. I came out and she was messing with more of my stuff. I asked her what she was doing, saw she broke the disc, and told her to stop touching things and get out of my room. I was mad. She left my room crying. I did not check on her or talk to her until our parents came home. They were furious with me when they heard what happened and said I should have waited for them and been gentle with Katie. They tried to make me apologize and I refused. I have refused to apologize for making her cry all week. My parents told me I know better. Am I the antagonist? The parents are crippling her by removing any possible negative stimulus from her life, which is unrealistic. Her parents won't be around to coddle her forever, and they are setting her up to fail. If she messes up at work or fails a class, she won't have the coping tools to handle it. Someday life won't be gentle with her, and being told to be careful or not touch things is far from mean. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.